Well, I'm a little bit slow to the punch here, but in the last, I don't know, few weeks or so, I've sort of noticed a level of silence about idle Taimanin. For those who don't know, idle Taimanin has been around since 2021, and they are an idol group that was always pretty interesting because it was kind of, it took the Taimanin sort of concept and stretched it, and brought it to idols essentially, and it kind of coincided with a release of a couple of games like Action Taimanin, and I think Taimanin RPG or something like that. And Taimanin, of course, is just, what's the word? It's hentai, right? It's a hentai series. And I actually didn't know that until a friend of mine pointed that out, but yeah, that's all right. That's fine. I didn't know. I just wanted to look at this idol group because to me, when I saw idol Taimanin, I just saw like, oh, this is another one of those sort of idol groups that kind of bridges the gap between, gravure idols and regular idols, and maybe even a little bit on the JAV side. And it's those idol groups were always kind of fascinating for me, but I noticed that most of the time they were pretty fleeting. They didn't last very long, and as it turns out, idol Taimanin wasn't an exception to that rule. I became really just curious recently, and I looked through Twitter, and I found out that idol Taimanin had basically disbanded. They announced that they would be disbanding December 31st, 2023. So they've long since disbanded and kind of gone their own direction, I guess. After 8 singles in 2 years, they finally decided to, finish things off. And, that's kind of par for the course for a group of that type, I guess. I learned recently, thanks to Kaho Shibuya's book, which, again, I would highly suggest watching, that the JAV industry has the tendency, or there are producers, especially in the late 20-teens, JAV producers really had a fetish for this idea of creating idol groups using JAV actresses, and for some reason, like, singing and dancing groups is normal, but like all the girls are either JAV or gravure models and all that stuff. And so it is kind of curious. None of those groups ended up lasting very long or even getting off the ground in some cases. The only successful group of them really were Ebisu Muscats or something like that. But here we are, idol Taimanin. They soldiered through for a couple of years there. And, one of the biggest reasons why I even became so interested in what may have happened is the kind of most prominent member between the two of them, Amemiya Luna. She is a gravure idol, who's existed she's been doing this for a long time. Well, long time relative to, how that works. She goes to all these conventions for not just JAV and gravure, but just, in general. She was always kind of like the big promoter for this group because she was kind of the most visible. You can see the two reasons why if you check out her stuff. And she would typically be the most prolific in terms of updating her social media about Idol Taimanin and that project. But then I noticed that stream of content started kind of stopped, and she took Idol Taimanin out of her bio. And so I was like, okay, so what happened? Did she leave and they replaced her? I thought that for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why I would even think, oh, did she leave the group? And they replaced her. No. The most popular member of the group deleting the group's name from her bio and not being a part of it. It's probably because the group is disbanded. And of course that's what it ended up being. But I don't know, man. It's really interesting. These idols, these groups that I don't know, that AV producers sort of get the idea of forming using, JAV porn stars and gravure models, because what exactly is the appeal for it? And Kaho Shibuya talks about it in her book too. There's no real difference other than that outside of the idol realm, the girls are making risque content. That's really it. There's no real novelty to it. The thing with Idol Taimanin, though, is that they were promoting the game Action Taimanin the whole time. And I think that's what they were formed for. And I actually do have Action Taimanin on PC. It's not, I got hooked on it for a couple of days. I thought it was pretty interesting. But after a while, it started to get a little bit, tired, and I just kind of fell out of it. But they most of their content, I think, on there was them promoting that. Although it is respectable at the same time that they did put out 8 singles. And I think I listened to all of them as they came out. Maybe I missed a couple of them. But yeah, Idol Taimanin was definitely an interesting time, I think. Natsumi, I think, was my favorite of the two. Even though Amemiya Luna is, obviously the she was the leader and the most prominent member, but Natsumi was pretty cool, I thought. I guess she was never as prolific on social media as Amemiya Luna was, and it looks like she's just sort of fallen off the face of the earth completely, Natsumi, which is really too bad. But what are you gonna do? Rip in peace, Idol Taimanin, I guess. They were great, though. Great. They were way better than they had any right to be. Let's say that they were way better than they had any right to be, and it was a very respectable 2-year run that they had. They lasted about as long as Million Girls Z and that sort of idol group, if that's what you want to call them. They released 7 more songs than Million Girls Z, so there's that. But in any event, I think I've gone on for long enough about this. Gravure JAV idol groups, man, I need to get into that. I really need to delve into that subculture of idols because I think it's interesting. But yeah, let me know what you thought about any of this in the comments below. I am very sleepy. I just woke up, but that's fine. I'll see you next time.